Let's discuss adding a transaction now to the Transaction Manager. This is one of the most exciting features of the app because your productivity is going to depend upon how organized you are and how good your business systems are. The systems that provide you the relevant and timely information are the ones that save you time, keep your business on track, and are going to keep you profitable. The Transaction Manager is one of the best productivity tools that you can have to ensure that you always know where you are in regards to all of your transactions. In order to add a transaction, all you need to do is click on Transaction and it'll start a wizard again. You need to enter the acceptance date by clicking in the window, and we're going to select today's date. And then we're also going to select our closing date, and we're going to say that we're going to close this at the end of the month. You can select the different contracts that you may have in your wizard, but we're going to use my contract today, and we're going to go ahead and add this transaction. It's going to add all the critical dates for your contract and put them in a checklist format so that you can go through them and work them off as you see. The date of acceptance, the closing date, the contract you're using. You can add a cooperating agent if you would like to, and I'm going to say that Mike Don is the co-oping agent. In the same way that we uploaded a data sheet, if you would like, you can upload your entire contract. Same process, I'm not going to do it here. As you work through your contract, critical dates will come up and they need to be satisfied. Say that the earnest money due date is on the 12th and it's started from the acceptance date. We'll just select that it's complete now. It asks you if you would like to move the complete date to today's date, and you say yes. And then you go on to the next step. When the buyer's inspections are done and the buyer has submitted their inspection report, then you'll select that it's been completed, and it's going to just bring up the possibilities for your contract. In this case, the buyer can either accept the property and the contingency will be satisfied, or the buyer may have submitted a repair request. Let's say that the buyer accepted the property and the contingency satisfied and changed it to today's date. Now you can see that has been finished, but there's no follow-up event for this. If you made a mistake and you clicked the wrong thing, all you need to do is deselect that box, go back and reselect it, and it'll give you your choices again. This time, let's say that the buyer did submit a repair request. And again, we're going to update it to today's date. When we save this, then it's going to automatically look at the next time frame that relies upon that buyer's inspection. In this circumstance, it's going to be the seller's response due date. So the seller you can see that the buyer's response was on the 4th and the seller's response is due on the 14th. So there's a 10-day seller response time frame. When you select that the seller's response has been made, then it's going to give you the possibilities for that. One, that the seller can agree to all the repairs and satisfy the contingency, or two, that the seller does not agree to all the repairs. This is the same as before. If I select the wrong one, I can just go deselect the box and select the one that applies. I'm going to select that the seller did not agree to the repairs. And this is probably going to start a new time frame for us to come to a defects agreement. As you can see that the contract is going to put the next critical event in, which is a 5-day to reach the repair agreement. When we select this, when we have come to an agreement with the buyer and the seller, we just select this as done, and we know that all of our critical timeframes are done regarding the inspections. Sometimes we have things that start with the acceptance date, and sometimes we have conditions that have to be satisfied before closing. These last two items have to be solved before closing, and whenever they're done, you just select them and change the date to today's date. And if they've been satisfied, you can do this at any time. Sometimes we change dates. We move dates up or we move dates back. If you need to change the acceptance date, let's say that it really wasn't the 4th. We really weren't notified until the 6th that's our date of acceptance. When I select the new date, it's going to warn you that changing the acceptance date is going to clear out all of the stuff for the previous contract and start it all over again. And that's probably what you need to do so that you have the right time frames. We'll go ahead and save this, and it's going to ask you again just to make sure that this is really what you want to do. So we have a brand new contract. Let's say that we change our closing date. If we come in here and we change it, let's say that the buyer was ready to close earlier and the seller wants to get out, and they're going to move up to the 27th. Well, if we look over here, we have a number of days before closing that these contingencies have to be resolved. And if we move to the 27th, then these dates that depend upon the closing, it's going to warn you that changing the closing dates will adjust all the incomplete before closing dates. So when I do go ahead and save this, it's going to ask me again, and I'm going to confirm that I do want to move that date up. And you'll see that these dates have changed. You can add the co-oping agent at any time. Like I said, Mike Don would be the individual, and you can add your contract. The way that this application is set up is that any time that you have to change a date on your transaction, a critical transaction date, you have to do it through the Transaction Manager.